7 o'clock, I will call the meeting of the Select Board of Tuesday, June 11th, 2024 to order. Note this meeting is being televised, streamed, or recorded by Bourne TV. If anyone in the audience is recording or videotaping, they need to acknowledge it at this time. I'm Michael Rausch. Use of flash photography during Select Board meetings is prohibited. If anyone from the public wishes to access the meeting, they can do so by calling the conference line 1-929-205-6099. The Zoom meeting ID is 869-5775-5505, and the password is Bourne, B-O-U-R-N-E, all uppercase. The Zoom chat will not be monitored. Participants who wish to speak must raise the hand icon until the chair asks them to unmute. All items within the meeting agenda are subject to deliberation and votes. First item is moment of silence to recognize our troops and public safety personnel. And salute to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next is reading of the vision. Who would like to read the mission?
I can read the vision.
Okay.
Bourne is a proud community that embraces change while respecting the rich heritage of the town and its villages. It is a municipality based on strong fiscal government with a durable economy that recognizes the rights of all citizens, respects the environment, especially the coastal areas of the community, and the amenities that it affords. Bourne embraces excellent education and offers to citizens a healthy, active lifestyle.
Thank you. Was this in the packet?
I was digging for the minute.
No, I just haven't.
Why don't you read the other one too,
Okay.
because it's not
Mission.
in the packet.
I could read the wall, but
Will maximize opportunities for social and economic development while retaining an attractive, sustainable, and secure coastline and environment for the enjoyment of residents and visitors. Through responsible and professional leadership and in partnership with others, Bourne will strive to improve the quality of life for all residents living and working in the larger community.
Thank you. Next item is public comments on non-agenda items. Is there anyone signed up for public comment? Seeing none. Next item is confirmation of the vote previously taken in executive session on April 30th, 2024, and reported out in open session on that same date to accept the terms of the offer made by Barnstable County to purchase land at Zero County Road at 100 Dr. Julius Kelly Lane in Pecasset for $730,000. Is there a motion?
so move.
Second.
Motion by Peter. Second by Anne Marie. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Did you skip over community shout out?
Oh, I did. Community shout out. Skipped over that. My shout out for this week is to the Bourne Wareham Race Amity Group for a great Race Amity Day celebration last Sunday on June 9th. That was really great.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd also like to recognize the Bourne Middle School student Kylie Reiki, who was awarded second place in the middle school monologue writing contest sponsored by the Massachusetts Educational Theater Guild.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Now, moving on to item 7. Presentation by Police Chief Summer Beach Enforcement Operations Plan. Welcome, Chief Esup.
I thank the board for allowing me to speak tonight. With me today is Sergeant Mackinac. He might be filling in for some statistical data or some other information. So just wanted to talk about our plans for the summer, because over the past few years, we've noticed an increase in the number of disturbances that we've had around the 4th of July and other times at the beach. Leading up to last year, which we actually had to call mutual aid over to assist us from Wareham due to a riotous condition over on Rip Van Winkle Way, and also multiple nights of riotous conditions on Sagamore Beach. We had multiple parties. Most of them were not local to the area, that had formed large groups, separate large groups on the beach around bonfires, lots of underage drinking, and our officers were able to maintain, but we're seeing other areas on the Cape that are having similar issues, and I don't know if the resources from other towns will always be available during these larger events. So we're just changing our mindset a little bit with how we enforce the current regulations. I'm not looking for any votes, any changes in our regulations, but how we enforce those regulations. So the big part of our plan for the summer is going to be public communication, sharing with people about what is allowed, what's accepted, and just common courtesy at the beaches so that they're not surprised. We want them to enjoy their time down there. We want them to enjoy the traditions that they hold, the town holds, but we want them to do it safely. And so if they don't bring that behavior with them, they can still enjoy and have a great time. So one of the things, and it was in your packet this week, beach fires, they bring pallets down to the beach, and then when those pallets burn off, it leaves the nails. The nails get rusty, and they go under the sand. We haven't had any in our town that I can think of, but it's just a matter of time that somebody's going to step on that. We've had it in other towns where it's that or glass. There's another picture I have, and so this was taken at Sagamore Beach on August 8th, 2022. Similar time, August 27th, 2023. Another bonfire, again with a pallet on it, and glass bottles broken inside of that. The tide comes up, that goes under. It's just going to be a problem. And this has consistently been the area. These are just two examples I have. It also causes more work for the DPW, then has to go out onto the beach, clean that up. So we will be enforcing the current regulation of no fires on the beach. I can't regulate that and say, okay, mom and son, you can have your fire over here, but kids over here, your fire's no good. Our town has a regulation that there's no fires or no charcoal grills on the beach, and we're just going to enforce that through please put the fire out, communication, repeat offenders. At that point, we'll start looking at the bylaw, issuing bylaw citations. That's one thing. Another thing, underage drink.
Could you just stop
Sorry.
for a second? So how does the bylaw work for citations? Like, what does that mean? You issue a bylaw citation, what does that mean?
We would still make the fire, have the fire put out, work with the fire department, get the fire out, but repeat offenders, if they're going to scoff at our courtesy, we'll then issue them a monetary violation that if they don't pay it, then there's a process for them to go through the court with that.
So there's a fine associated with
associated
that,
with it.
and then if you don't pay the fine, you have to go to court?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
That's what I'm,
Yep,
yeah.
thank you. And our goal is not to, we're not using this as a means to raise revenue. Our goal is to not have these issues. So that's where we're looking at doing the communication, using our variable message boards around town, social media, our media partners, meetings like this to share that information out. Another one with underage drinking. I'm not looking at creating a criminal record for people for possessing or drinking alcohol underage. We have bylaws that are appropriate to utilize for that. So number one, we'll remove the alcohol from them. Number two, if it's a repeat offender or we have further issues, we'll be looking at the bylaw violation for that. I'm specifically looking at bylaw violations because I'm trying to avoid having a kid makes a mistake and then having something that's now a criminal, something criminal on their record. The other part of this will be enforcing the beach hours during these larger scale events. 10 p.m. is generally what we start going around 10:30, and we ensure that we start clearing the beaches out. This isn't going to be every night of the week. We're not going to be. It's mainly on these larger events, so July 3rd through the 7th, and then larger times. And then as we see larger gatherings, that's a useful tool for us. Also, parking enforcement and ensuring that we're enforcing the parking regulations that we have that we have in place. The select board was generous enough to vote for our changes in signs. Those are being implemented. When I'm towards the end of my presentation, I'm going to go over some new technology we have that's going to make it easier for our officers to issue the citations and spend less time entering that data. And then it will be through increased presence on the beach. The town meeting this year, the town voted to allow us to have 2 additional ATVs in our department. That was, we had 2. We purchased 2 more. We're going to be removing one that's of no use to our department. It's just not the right size. We were able to get delivery of those ATVs, and they will be ready for this summer, 4th of July. So they're purple-ish in color. So we picked a particular style, and we're looking at doing a design to it that will make it identify with Bourne. Hopefully, you'll see them in parades. We also have 2 e-bikes, and we may be able to squeeze another one in there as well. That will allow us to extend the range of our officers. We started utilizing those last year. They were awesome, and especially in Sagamore Beach, we have hills. It's a great tool. We have traditional bikes that will be better for Rip Van Winkle, where it's flatter surfaces and just a presence in the area. And places like Rip Van Winkle, it's going to be very useful for us to enforce the public drinking bylaws. So not walking around the open cup, because what we had there was we had one large party and another large party, and somebody wanted to go on somebody else's lawn to see the fireworks, and then somebody took somebody's necklace, and who knows what actually happened, but just quickly enough, there were many more people arguing than there were officers available to handle it. In general, that's going to be what we're looking to share out, is that it is going to be a slightly different look. We're not militarizing. We're not looking to destroy anyone's fun, but there will be a presence down there. There will be some changes to how we are enforcing some basic things that were causing problems. So please, public, please do not bring the fires down there. Please, if you're underage, don't bring the alcohol down to the beaches. Don't throw glass. Don't leave something. We have a beautiful environment, beautiful coastline. Let's not destroy it. And that's what we're going to be here for.
So you mentioned earlier about some statistics. Are you finding there are particular areas that people congregate more than others because it's more difficult for you to access?
So not so much more difficult, but during nice weather, Sagamore Beach is clearly, there's some areas of Sagamore Beach where people feel they're out of the view. Okay. And we're aware of those, and we'll be out. There's also there's increase in the power lines of activity there, but that's not really. It's generally that's happening in Plymouth. For other areas of hot spots, not so much. We don't see much on Monument Beach, but Monk's Cove, we see stuff over there.
Yep.
And it's just we have 2 CSOs, so community service officers, that are going to be out this year. I'm moving one of them on Fridays and possibly Saturdays to work in the evenings. We traditionally had them both working during the days. This will give an increased presence for the parking enforcement, also just another set of eyes, and also increasing some manning around.
And do you find it's a particular age group?
Generally, so every 4th of July, everyone goes down. Sagamore Beach is the one that comes to mind because that's the one area that everyone congregates down for 4th of July activities. It's the disturbances we had were from a younger age group. And a combination of that was a lot of people that were significantly underage that were in possession or in close possession to alcohol. And we only had, at that time at the beach, we only had 3 officers that were able to go to that because of the riot over on Rip Van Winkle, which took the entire shift. And it was all hands on deck for that. And I don't use that term lightly. It was not a good situation. We were lucky that it didn't turn into a much bigger deal, and I'm thankful for Wareham. Generally, we don't have to call Wareham for help for these type of things. They were able to assist us and send. I think they sent 3 or 4 officers very quickly. So.
And what about those areas? Like I think of Bassett Island and the jurisdiction of the DNR. Is it that within the jurisdiction of the DNR to?
The actual island itself, if it's in the town of Bourne and its land, it's something that. But then we coordinate. When you have issues, we haven't had many issues that have come to our forefront on Bassett's Island. Anecdotally, there are things, a few years, or many, I'm going dating myself, there was an event called Bass Ackwards.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was multiple years of progressively getting to the point of we had to deploy.
Chaos.
It was chaos. And we
Dangerously.
came up with dangerous. Drug
Dangerous,
use,
yeah.
alcohol,
Yeah,
just
very
dangerous.
yeah.
And we were able to curb that with a partnership with the DNR and other agencies.
Yeah.
We don't have that situation there right now. Hoping that it does not return and that people can use some common sense and still
Right,
enjoy the
right.
area.
Yeah.
So
It's becoming a very popular area and getting very densely populated.
Yeah,
in the
Bassett Island
water.
is like
Yeah,
a
so
boat
it may
parking
not
lot
be-
on the good weather, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we'd be more than happy to speak with the DNR as they start forming their plan for the summer of working and combining our officers with them. When we were doing some events, we would put a officer on a boat, and that just helps with the force that's available.
Right, yeah.
And I would just like to show real briefly, so we are going to be using a e-ticketing system this summer. It's a very easy, so this will not take long, as long as I... So with our e-ticketing, this is something that traditionally the officers would be handwriting tickets. This system, I don't have a car in here, so I can't use the feature of it that determines the plate from the photo. And no, I don't want to update it. So this is all going to be in real time, hopefully. We log into our, of course it logged me out.
Of course. Better not want two-factor, right?
Yep.
I have another question.
I am listening.
Don't,
Oh,
don't,
okay, you
like,
logged
let's
in?
not
I'm logged in.
multitask, let's do one thing at a time.
Right. All right, so the screen is very simple on here. From here, we can actually either take a barcode of the registration of the inspection sticker on the vehicle, or take a picture of the vehicle and if we take the picture of the vehicle, it figures out the plate number, figures out the vehicle color and vehicle type, and backfills that automatically into the system.
Nice.
And so enter our violation. We have the information in here. It automatically, if I don't have that information, it pulls the most popular and we jump from there. I enter the location. I'm going to say it's going to be Main Street. And on Main Street, we're going to do a handicap parking violation. And at that point, we can provide notes that's available to the parking enforcement, the hearing officer, and also have photos of the violation. So that's going to be available to folks. And we hit submit, print, and then about 5 seconds later, the ticket comes out. The officer no longer will have to enter this data into our record management system. This would go automatically into every morning, our records department would get an email from the county indicating that the
These are your
tickets have been issued. And the other part of this that the public will be seeing is, so these are the envelopes as opposed to the traditional carbon copy. Fold it up, this will be what gets left on the card. There's appeal process through that. The traditional appeal process is what we will still be utilizing. And hopefully that information will help educate the violators as to why they were issued the violation.
Right.
Hopefully not cause that violation to occur again, and also expedite the amount of time that it takes the officers to issue these. So,
Sounds good,
That's great.
yeah.
Really great.
I'm gonna go to someone, see if anybody else has
No
any
problem.
questions. Anybody else have any questions? No? This looks really, I think this sounds good. And I do know from where I live that we have updated our security to have later hours and weekend hours that we didn't used to have, but you have to keep vigilant, so, yeah.
We native people have a saying, leave only footprints.
that's,
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's on all our signs.
that's all we're
Anne Marie, do you have
asking.
another- you have
I
another
do,
question?
in regards to like the, the burning of the pallets, and I don't know how you could do this or if it's within your jurisdiction. There are a lot of businesses that leave pallets out for free, right? Is there any type of general communication we could put forth to?
Already in my head there.
Okay.
So we can't prohibit them from putting it out.
No,
But we
I
are going to be
yeah,
discussing with them. What we
but-
can prohibit is not only do they put it out, sometimes they actually put it at the actual access way to the beach because they want to help out. That would then be dumping on town land. So there's tools that we're going to utilize with that, but the biggest thing would be communication with them and
Okay.
discussing with them. There's a few that we, especially in the Sagamore Beach area, and I'm concentrating on it because that's where we've had a huge influx in these issues. And there's 2 businesses that come to mind that are usually putting their pallets out, and we'll be reaching out to them on that.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Yeah,
They can always bring them to my house.
Gene and then Peter.
I was going to say, when I was working at the warehouse, we used to share pallets. I'd run out, I'd need one and grab one. But I did notice that some people were putting them out maybe in the setback area instead of near their building or something. And some of that, maybe you can monitor some of that as well.
Yeah, and we're going to use whatever tools we can to help, mitigate that without stepping on somebody's rights.
Well,
or
and people
abilities.
probably don't even think about it. People that are using these pallets probably don't even think about the fact that they're leaving nails behind that are going to become rusty and injure someone. So, yeah, sometimes you just don't.
And plus, there's some great crafts you can do with the pallets in the first place. So
Oh,
it's there's
yes.
other uses for them other than burning them down at the beach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Peter?
When do the summer offices start?
they were actually in training this week, and you'll see them out on the road starting the 10th, and that continues through the middle to end of August.
Great.
So they will be here for the parade, and they're very excited. They're two high school seniors that are college going to be college seniors, and they are very smart and very excited to take part in this. So
Great.
appreciate the time today.
All right, thank you very much. Great presentation. Appreciate your proactiveness on community policing.
It's the department, it's the officers. Thank you.
John York's hand was up. I don't know if it was for this or for the next one. He just took it down, so I don't know.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Was asked.
Okay, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but we did try to attempt to keep a time on this agenda so we can kind of figure out how much time we should be spending on things. Next is discussion acceptance of memorial donation to be located at 3 Mile Overlook. And is there, there is a staff report, right, in our,
Yes.
There wasn't in the packet yet.
do you want to say something about this, Marlene, or,
If there's anyone who wants to give a presentation from the group, I'm happy to defer to them.
okay.
She's right there.
Is that, all right then, please come up. Introduce yourself and tell us about the project.
So I'm Andrea York, and I'm very thankful that you're giving me this opportunity, and I know you've done some homework on it too, I think. But this is a proposal to place a plaque at the far end of Perry Ave Extension at the 3 Mile Look, near the flagpole area, near the gazebo, in a small section of garden that had been traditionally gardened by my mother, Lori York. As you may know, as you walk from Perry Ave up the extension toward the vista, each side of the pathway has little sections of garden, sometimes with a bench. And over the years, different groups in town have taken on caring for those sections, plantings. Lori, my mom, back with Roland DuPont back in the early 2000s, came up with the vision for the whole idea. And they recruited the AmeriCorps, actually. I think they were the first group to give AmeriCorps a project in our town. The Cape Cod AmeriCorps was new to the Cape at that time. So there's a little bit of historic tradition there in terms of how the whole project got accomplished. But it wasn't only that. It were many other groups, and especially the DPW, who continued to help and has continued to maintain the walkway up to the gazebo beautifully. And the only little section that hasn't really been maintained is the section that my mother gardened for years, affectionately called Lori's Seaside Garden. And I think over the past few decades, some other transformations took place for the other sections of garden that made them more maintainable, made them less difficult to maintain, simpler plantings, simpler ground covers. And the section that she had been maintaining was a little more complicated with a lot of fragile plants and a little botanical guide that identified each of the plants. So it was a little bit educational. I actually lettered the oyster shells that had numbers that corresponded to her plaques that identified all the species of plants. So over COVID and the last few years, that whole section had gone a little bit into disrepair, and I took a look at it last summer, and with wind and elements and no maintenance, that had kind of just returned to a little bit of a wasteland. And I think it was just due to tradition that no one was taking care of that section. So I came up with the idea to restore that section to something that would be maintainable without much effort, without much water. As you know, it's not the best environment for plants. And I put together a little proposal. I don't know if you've
We have
had a
in
chance
that
to
packet.
look at that. So the request that we're making is twofold. One is to just do something with that section to just bring it back up to something attractive, but also not requiring much maintenance. We did work with the Abtuxet Garden Club, and they are doing a lot of volunteer maintaining of different gardens and plots and meridians in the town, and didn't feel they could carry that forward. So I worked with the Garden Club on a design that would be water tolerant, drought tolerant, using native plants, mostly hardscaping, some rocks and crushed stone. I've had donations of some beautiful natural rocks, and that's courtesy of Steve Ballantyne. John Alden has offered to help with a rock that would be placed somewhere in that section that would have a plaque on it. So that's the second aspect of the project. So there's some restoration of the site, and then there's a stone with a plaque. So the plaque would be to commemorate all the different groups that had contributed to creating the 3 Mile Look Perry Ave Extension project. I could read the wording, or you may have already read that, but if you
We
like.
should read it. I mean, I'll read it if you don't want to read it, or you can read it if you'd like to read it.
Okay, and this plaque I have priced out and had a commitment from Baker Monuments in Falmouth, and they gave me all the dimensions and prices and understandings of how much wording you can put on a plaque, et cetera. So I was surprised at how well the amount of wording looked on a small plaque. So it's to commemorate Greenbelt Pathway 3 Mile Look Perry Ave Extension Project in recognition of Roland J. DuPont and Dolores C. Laurie York for their vision and planning. The Town of Bourne DPW, Abtuxet Garden Club, Cape Cod AmeriCorps, Buzzards Bay Beautification Groups, and volunteers past, present, and future. So the most important part for us is the commemorative plaque. The maintenance and restoration of the site would just be to support that. And with some support from the DPW, we think we could create a section there that wouldn't require more maintenance than the maintenance they already do for the rest of the sections. So that's, thank you.
Is there any questions for Andrea?
I got just a comment, if that's okay.
Sure.
I really love this project. I don't think a lot of people know. So my husband and I moved on to Everett Road back in 2004. And I remember when the talk happened about 3 Mile Look being developed up there, and we went up and approached Roland DuPont, my husband being a roofer. He volunteered the white cedar roof, the red cedar roof that is currently still exists on top of the 3 Mile Look gazebo. So we still live on Everett Road, and we still go up to 3 Mile Look with the grandchildren, and we think of Roland all the time when we go up. I never got to meet your mom, but my husband spent his time up there and put that roof on. So every time we go up, we think about the hard work that went in from everyone, and we always think of Roland and
Well,
kind of
now
say a
we're
little
going
prayer
to
for him.
also be able to think of that, because
and
I
your
didn't know
mom.
that. I'm learning so much about this. I learned one other interesting thing. I never knew why it was called 3 Mile Look. Does anyone know?
Because
If you can like see 3 miles, no?
Somebody told me it was the span, right?
The next door neighbor came up when they were clearing the area and mentioned that they had not a clam shack, a hot dog stand on the old bridge abutment when it really was a bridge. Their
Yeah.
family had a hot dog stand. It was called 3 Mile Look.
No kidding.
They threw out that fact, and the fact got incorporated into the name of the. I love that. So another
Oh,
piece
that
of
is really cool.
Yeah, so thank you for that. I thought it was really wonderful to see, and it's certainly a testament of how the town can get together, and we all remember Roland. How could you forget him? He was a great guy, so I just wanted to share that.
beautiful compass roads that's embedded in the walkway to commemorate.
So, So we, I need to be clear about what it is, what action we need to take to accept this. So, we have a donation. Do we need to just say the donation of the stone and the plaque, and then the landscaping materials? Are you planning on donating all these landscaping
yes.
materials? It's not a monetary donation, is it? It's just the things that are being donated, right?
So, I think there's actually two things
Okay.
that I would recommend that you do. One is to accept the gift as outlined in the proposal. So the town would accept that work, both in-kind labor and the materials. And the second piece is you should vote to place. Our policy says memorial objects. This isn't really your kind of standard memorial. This is, and I would use the word a commemorative, because it's really commemorating the project.
Exactly.
And commemorating the groups that established the project. So it's not a memorial to an individual. And that's, I think that is an important distinction, because it doesn't necessarily fit the criteria of your policies for a memorial.
And it's not really a memorial.
And it's
either.
not really a memorial.
Yeah.
No.
But I would say that it's important that the board place allow the placing of the commemorative plaque and stone in this location.
Okay. And the one thing I'll say was, when you were reading this, you mentioned the Cape Cod AmeriCorps, and that was not listed in what we had, so.
I did, I'm actually reading it from an email that I sent to Liz,
So
saying that I had
Yeah.
neglected, I had accidentally
You
omitted
left that out, so,
so that I
okay.
had put it back in. But if you need another official,
No, I just wanted to note that.
yeah.
And, yeah, that
The
email is
commemorative
in,
plaque as
I think she would have put
presented.
it in.
the email is, the email you sent is in our packet
It's,
with the addition of the AmeriCorps.
the date was April 4th
Yeah.
for that email.
Okay, so, this is what I have. It would be a motion to accept the gift as outlined in the proposal, both materials and in-kind labor, and to allow the placement of a commemorative plaque as presented, plus the Cape Cod AmeriCorps, commemorative plaque as presented, plus the Cape Cod AmeriCorps, and the stone at this location.
So move.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot, there's one other element, which was requesting if it would be possible to have a public presentation of the plaque at some point. Which,
We don't have to put that in the motion.
No.
That, the donation is, we need to formally accept the donation. And if we arrange when we're gonna have a ribbon cutting, we'll arrange the ribbon cutting. We don't need to
I
necessarily.
wasn't sure if it had to be.
Yeah. Yeah, we go to ribbon cuttings all the time, at least one a week.
When we can get there.
One
we can be
last
there.
week, good pizza last week, one this week. Okay, all right, so we have the motion, but the really formal thing we have to do is accept the donation and allow the placement of the commemorative plaque and stone. Okay, so we have a motion by Peter, a second by Anne Marie. Is there any questions or comments from the board? Any questions or comments from the public or Zoom? Mr. Goddard, you have to go, You have to go.
Bill Goddard, Monument Beach. I remember when this was done, and I support this 100%. Roland, we certainly we have a fond place in my heart for Roland for many years, many projects in the town, and knowing Lori York, who is 100, and an amazing woman, indefatigable, and just such an inspiration for many people. I fully support this and honoring the project overall.
Great, thank you, Phil.
This project has been, this 3 Mile Overlook has been a great place that the public has enjoyed for over 20 years. I see people coming and going out of there all the time, no matter what time of the year. I've seen vehicles go off the side of the wall over there too, trying to get into the canal. But no, I mean, but the vision of Rowan and your mother and others, Tom Mosier, and we can go down the list. It's amazing what they were able to put together, and the fact that we are now refurbishing a portion of it. It's nice that people still care about it. So
We're only missing one shingle on the roof. Somebody must have climbed up there. I told Tony
have
he
a
better
sprayer
get
in
up
your
there. I
basement?
told him he better get up there and fix it.
but thank you.
Yeah, I know, right?
All right, great. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous. Thank you very much, and thank you for your patience, because we've been talking for a long time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciating all of you for all you've done these last year or so has been an amazing show of your caring and your competence. So
Thank you.
back at you.
Okay.
Don't hear that often.
Awesome. Okay. Item 9, consent agenda. On the consent agenda, we have 1-day beer and wine license for National MS Society 101 Academy Drive on June 29th, 2024, as conditioned by departments. We have a 1-day all alcohol license for Sagamore Beach Colony Club, 30 Robinson Road, on July 12th, 2024, as conditioned by departments. We have discussion and possible vote Hillary Lesperance use of town roads and vehicle participation for the 4th of July parade on June 29th, 2024, with a rain date of July 6th, 2024, subject to departmental conditions. Approve the appointment of committee members for FY25 list attached. Dissolve the Bourne Landfill Business Model Working Group, and dissolve the Financial Policy Working Group.
Madam Chair, I would like to separate out item E.
Okay. So is there a motion on consent agenda items A, B, C, D, and F?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Anne Marie, second by Melissa. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous. Okay.
Now, on item E, dissolving of the Bourne Landfill Business Model Working Group, I think people should know what that group meant for this town, and I swam at a time when it was created. We were looking for different options for our landfill, of different uses, and with the vision of Phil Goddard, Bob Schofield, Stanley Andrews, John Redmond.
Forget Dan Barrett, the general manager of the
Yeah,
department.
yep.
Barrett.
And Bill Will, who
Bill
has-
Ware was
Bill Ware.
like awesome on that committee. Yeah.
they really did an amount, and they did a lot of work throughout the years on this group, and Don Picard too, and
Yep.
and Phil being here, Phil can testify to what that group meant for the landfill, and I don't know if I want to dissolve it just yet, 'cause you don't know what the future's going to bring, but in the we may be able to look at, with the expansion of the landfill, we may be looking at options in the future, so I'd rather see this group be suspended as opposed to being dissolved, because this way, if you do bring it back, if it's an option, you don't have to write a whole new scope and everything all over again. You just need to amend it.
Well, I actually think you do have to dissolve it, because I think the scope would be different and the charge would be different. Like, when you think way back when this was originally proposed, we didn't have the long-term contracts. We were deciding what the future of the landfill was. They were the ones that decided on the ash, and we went through and did the long-term contracts, so they were no longer a spot, no longer doing spot. I think we have our site assignment now for the new expansion of the landfill. We're establishing a business, a building committee for doing that. I think if it comes in the future that we need to have this committee, then we can establish a new committee. But this committee hasn't met in like 3 years.
No, it hasn't, because usually the town administrator would let Dan know, saying that, do we need to meet, and then they would let us know. I don't know, it's just, I know what the committee meant, to this, and this, what they did for our community and for the landfill in general, and, at a minimum, I would like to see them all get letters of thank you for all the work they did, because they did a tremendous amount of work. And in fact, they traveled to Florida for a while to look at the different options for our facility. So, again, it's just,
You're talking about letters of all the people that have served since the beginning of time.
well,
on
some
that committee.
of them are deceased, but at least the major players that we can think of, or maybe, or the most recent board that's active.
All right, well, so maybe we can send something in writing to the town administrator about who we would want to include or not,
Yeah.
in those letters. And so that she's not trying to figure it out
Yeah, I understand.
for something she wasn't here.
I know, I understand.
Okay. Okay, so is there a motion now to dissolve the Bourne Landfill Business Model Working Group?
So moved.
Motion by Anne Marie, is there?
Second.
Second by Jean. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous, thank you. Okay, events. Event I, discussion and possible vote. Rachel Margetich, use of Buzzards Bay Park for a birthday party on July 13th, 2024, subject to departmental conditions.
Motion to approve.
Is everything in order? Everything's in order for all these. I'm assuming they wouldn't be.
Yeah.
That's correct. It was quite good.
Okay. So motion by Peter. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jean. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Discussion and possible vote, Bourne Community Boating, Finney's Harbor Day, August 3rd, 2024, rain date August 4th, subject to departmental conditions. 1, use of Monument Beach area. 2, one-day entertainment license for live music, max 5 performers. 3, request for waiver of special events policy, section E2K1, to allow alcoholic beverages in the parking lot. And A, one-day beer and wine license for Bourne Community Boating Monument Beach.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Anne Marie. I do have one question about this. So it said in the application that they need to have people be able to park, but if people are parking at Monument Beach parking on a Saturday in the summer, they need to have a sticker. We're not gonna waive the stickers as part of this, is that correct? Or are we?
That wasn't a request, was
There
it?
is no waiving of beach stickers.
Okay, so we should just make them aware that we're not,
And
that,
I do believe that.
is that Karina?
Yes.
Is that, are you here for that?
Hi, yes, I am.
Okay, hi Karina.
Hi.
All right, so that's just a clarification that, people with stickers can park there, but people without stickers can't park there. And we can't guarantee parking, and we're okay with where the food truck's gonna be located in the parking lot, so. Okay, just to make you aware, so that without stickers, they have to try to park in the non-sticker parking on the street or carpool or whatever, so, okay. All right, we just want clarity, that's all. This is a great, sounds like a great day. Okay, so we have a motion by Peter and a second by Anne Marie. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous. You're all set.
Good luck.
Great, thank you. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Okay. Next, discussion and possible vote, Cape Cod Canal Day, September 21, 2024, with a rain date, September 21, 2024, with a rain date, September 22, 2024, subject to departmental conditions. 1, use of Buzzards Bay Park for event with vendors, food trucks, live music, cornhole tournament, and children's activities. 2, placement of a banner across Main Street. And 3, a 5K road race along the Canal Service Road.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Peter, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jean. I will note that Marie was not able to come here tonight,
Yeah.
so we're doing the events tonight, but the liquor license for this will be done on July 2nd, so she can be here, so. Motion by Peter, second by Jean. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions, it's unanimous. Next, 4, discussion and possible vote, Concert by the Canal Series, Thursday nights from July 11th, 2024 to August 22nd, 2024, rain date, August 29th, 2024. 1, use of Buzzards Bay Park along with 2 booths for face painting and jewelry. 2, one-day entertainment license for live music at Buzzards Bay Park Gazebo on the following dates: July 11th, 2024, July 18, 2024, July 25, 2024, August 1, 2024, August 8th, 2024, August 15th, 2024, August 22nd, 2024, and a rain date of August 29th, 2024. Motion by Melissa, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Peter. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous.
Is this sponsored by the Cape Cod?
The chamber.
Chamber, yes, yeah.
And they have different businesses in the region that help sponsor,
Right, right.
buy sponsorships for it.
Yeah.
It's kind of their major fundraising, so.
I mean,
And it's a major event for the town.
Well, the
Yeah.
Canal Day is, right?
Yes,
But
yes.
I'm talking about the concerts.
Concerts, yes.
Yeah.
well, every Thursday night for like 7 to 8 weeks, the
Yeah.
Right, no, I'm just curious, they haven't approached the Bourne Community Engagement Committee for
We
that.
would
They do
be-
it for Canal Day,
Yeah.
but not the concerts.
I think they usually get pretty good sponsorship from
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cape Cod 5 and other groups, and then the 50-50 raffle can be upwards to $1,000 a night, so 50% of that goes right back to the chamber, so. I was gonna ask Marie this year, see if we can do a Bourne Food Pantry component of it, and see, like, we'll leave a can or something that one night, and then we can bring the stuff across the street afterwards, and see if we can help out, because there's a lot of people there, and if you get each person bring one can good,
Bring a
it
bin,
could only help
yeah,
out.
Put some bins out.
That's a great idea.
Okay, we voted that, right? Okay, next is licenses. Consideration of common victular license for Graziella's Wood Fire Pizza, Inc., 89 Main Street, Bourne, pending final inspections. Is anyone here for Graziella's? Nope. Is everything in order?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Anne Marie. Is there any further discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions, it's unanimous. One-day beer and wine license for Sagamore Beach Colony Club, 30 Robinson Road, on July 27th, 2024, as conditioned by departments. Is there a motion?
So move.
Motion by Peter, is there a
Second.
second? By Jean. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, abstentions, it's unanimous. Next, moving right along. Presentation by the Recycling Committee and ISOM staff. Welcome. Glad you could make it. Good evening. Would you please introduce yourself?
Of course. I'm Heather DiPaolo, and I'm the chair of the Bourne Recycling Committee. Before I begin, I was just thinking perhaps Chief Esip could do a Pinterest board for the pallets, because he seemed to have a lot of those ideas.
There you go.
Like, you know. And if that fails, you can always bring them
Etsy
to the
shop for
landfill. Yes, right, exactly. So from what I can tell here, the last time we met was April 2023. I don't think we met in the fall. So since then, we've had 3 new committee members join. They've been great additions, lots of great new ideas. We still have 1 opening. And Jimmy Boyle, who's been on the committee for as long as I can remember, he's also a staff with DPW, is retiring next month, at the end of the month. Hoping that he's still considering staying on because he has such a wealth of knowledge. It would be really great. So as far as the DPW, where we have most of our meetings, it's been a great working relationship. I'm calling it with the Matts. So Matt Sawicki and Matt Quinn have both tried to attend our meetings. They're helping facilitate the water bottle refill station, which I'll talk about later. But anyways, I just wanted to, make a thank you to them. So the big thing we've done this year, also, this is my power suit, just so you know. Is we did a recycling display that went on tour. Started at the library and then went to the community building here and then over to Town Hall. And it was really well received by so many people. It was a chance for people to test their knowledge about many different things, from the pizza boxes to the black plastic to all different types of items that we have in our household that we don't know what to do
Can
with.
I just ask you a question?
Yes.
Where were the answers?
Oh, you have to open it.
Oh, okay. I'll go back and do it again.
Well, it may, if we can convince the library director to have us back. We thought the summer people might
Yeah,
want
that would be great.
So we're going to see if we can put that back up again, smaller. And then today we were saying even like summer geared, like, the popsicle wrappers and that kind of thing, beach pails, all of that. But the really cool thing is that 3 groups actually reached out to us. Phil put it on the listserv, and so we had Andover Public Library, the Tewksbury Beautification Committee, and the Sustainable Plymouth have all either done a display or are going to, and that's really cool. And they sent us pictures, and each time they say, courtesy of Bourne Recycling Committee. So that's fun. But, and the, really exciting thing is maybe we could take it statewide. So that's a goal, perhaps, and have kind of fine tune it and be able to share it with many groups. We have been back in the Bourne Public Schools. I'm excited to go to the, food waste program. Phil will talk a little bit more about that, but that's been great to have them putting their food scraps from the kitchen. We haven't done it at the cafeteria level yet. That takes a lot of, I think I might have mentioned this before, a lot of volunteer time to make sure that all of the kids know exactly where to put the stuff. But the PTA fundraiser with Bay State Textile has been going strong. That's 24/7 drop off. You can go to any of the school parking lots, go for the white bin, bag your textiles, make sure they're not wet or moldy. But other than that, they take them, even if they're stained, they take them and they turn them into fiberfill or whatnot, or reuse the clothes. Last month alone, the Bourne PTA got $331.50, and there was 5,525 pounds not put in the landfill. So for doing nothing, I'm just really happy that they've continued that. And then the environmental club has started up again, which is great. Two science teachers have really gotten some kids involved. I'm not sure if they completed it, but they were hoping to do like a thrift store with the clothes, reusing that. They've met with other groups and done kind of mock civic presentations, and so we're hoping to continue to work with them in the fall. The Bourne liquor stores have been working with us about anti-litter. So first things first, we went and wrote a letter and went around to every single all nine liquor stores and asked them to post this, just reminding everyone, try not to litter in the area, and asking them to put a trash bin outside, so just to help, reduce the litter in the area. And they were pretty responsive, to keep on them. But but the Great Gables Market, the owner there, Russ Solomon, he is hosting a town-wide cleanup on June 22nd from 10 to 12. He's organizing that with other retailers in the area. This is the third one that they have done since 2022. So they really are trying to do their part. This is a really neat thing that our new committee member, Mary Fallon Smith, suggested that we do. She recently moved into the area and said, I didn't get any information about how to recycle. I don't know what to do. Where do I go? I mean, obviously she's on the committee, she knows, but she's saying if I were to say anyone. But so she said, well, how can we capture this group that we're missing? And so that was a collaboration with us and iSwim, and we came up with a letter that everyone would get, as well as some of our information that we already have, but they'll just get like a nice packet of stuff, and then one link to an email. But that would go out each quarter, and so we would just every quarter get the list from Town Hall, and again, iSwim's helping us with the labels and the envelopes and postage, and I'm just really happy that was something that was recognized, and we were able to do that. As you know, the CPA funded our water refill stations in May of 2023. We did this in conjunction with the DPW because of staffing and whatnot. It's finally happening this year, which is great. The schools, there's 2 at the schools. They were waiting until school got out. That's the end of this week. So they'll be getting that going. And then over at Clark Field, the DPW is going to help with the placement of that. But we're thinking it would be really cool to do, I'm going to do a pun, splash of information in the fall, and kind of reach out to the coaches, the players, hand out stickers, just to say, put this on your reusable water bottle, just to try to get them to say, oh, we don't need to have a case of waters anymore. We can just have our bottle. Continuing education, we went to the Mass Recycle Conference on March 19th, and there were 8 of us from DPW, iSwim, and the recycling committee members. So that was really great because everyone always gets a big kick out of, the Bourne people are here. Oh, wow. Oh, you've got the landfill. Oh, my gosh. So, but we get to talk to others, and just, it's nice to see other people in the field. But, and today we went on actually a tour of a recycling facility in Rochester, Zero Waste Connections. They take our single stream recycling, and it was
Great
fascinating.
building.
It was just, it's a new building. It's it's really,
Is that the one across from Covanta?
I say it's like Disneyland for someone in the environmental world, because it's so cool to see how they take it from the truck, and then in the end it becomes this big cube of material that they can then sell and reuse. And so anyways, I'm kind of geeking out
Can
here.
I ask a question though? Because
yeah.
is this new that we're using them? Because they weren't our original recycling people, were they? Were we
There's
using someone in
been-
Westboro?
There's been some merging that's happened.
Okay.
and so
Same
can-
company.
Just, they got bigger.
They got a local
Okay.
lot.
All right, great, thank you.
Yeah. We visited Discovery Preschool. DPW did a show and tell with their truck. The kids, the 3, 4, 5-year-olds were, oh my gosh, they went up and down. It was very cool. In July, the Monument Beach Civic Association is asking us back at their ice cream social. We're hoping to participate in the Bourne Night Out with the police, and Take Care Cape Cod, which is another great group on the Cape. They are starting this program with the Bourne Braves, the Falmouth Commodores, the Cape League, to try to encourage people to recycle. So we're considering going and helping them out with that. I'll just wrap up quickly and say future ideas here. Like I said, expanding the recycling display, Cape-wide, maybe statewide, so it's a big one. But hosting more cleanups in all the villages. Working with the Falmouth environmental groups to establish a repair cafe. And this is a really neat thing where people can say, my watch is broken, so you would have someone who could fix this instead of having to go and buy a new watch. They've had those in other communities in the state, and it takes a lot of planning and time, but if we can do it with another town, kind of join resources there. Create a green initiative or green pledge for Bourne businesses. This is something that we've kind of toyed with, send a letter, but just to have them be able to have a sticker on their window, where an opt-in straw, restaurant or reuse paper straws, or whatever the criteria would be. That's something that we've been toying around with. Finding ways to reach the summer renters. That's another missing market there, and continuing to collaborate with the other groups and town departments. So yeah, it's been a really good year. So we're thank you for letting us share what's been going on.
Thank you. I want to say at the 8th grade, civic project thing that they do, they get very involved in recycling and waste in the environment. A lot of their projects have to do with that. And they were really impressed with the amount of food waste that we have been diverting with our program. And that's a really great program. So we have so much great stuff going on that it's really great. Yeah.
And Phil can give those numbers. So yeah, again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Good evening. I'm Phil Goddard. I'm the manager of facility compliance and technology development at IceWin, as we affectionately call it. Before I begin, I just want to say thank you to Heather, the chair, who's been the chair for many years, through some times where we had not so many volunteers, and she stuck it out. And I will also tell you that the recycling committee is near and dear to my heart, because that's my entire career came out of the recycling committee as a founding member. And as you may know, but I want to recognize that it's the 35th anniversary of the recycling committee in the spring of 1989, founded by Pam Olson, my dear friend, and Elizabeth Katomet, so if you're watching, Pam. And also Maria Leva was a early supporter and stalwart, staunch supporter of recycling to this day. And we are supporters of Take Care Cape Cod. Bourne is an affiliate member, one of the few municipalities on the Cape. So I wanted to recognize all of that and thank the new members. Mary came up with that idea and captured a missing chunk of the community we're not reaching. So my presentation is going to focus on extended producer responsibility, about how we capture some waste that we, the municipalities on the Cape, around the state, are paying for, that are kind of orphaned wastes, if you will, but cost the communities a tremendous amount of money. So I'm going to run through slides that were created by Juanita Trabert, who is the current chair of the Massachusetts Product Stewardship Council. This is an organization within Mass Recycle. As you may know, I was on the board of Mass Recycle and treasurer, and I was the first chair of this group. And Juanita is an industry expert. She worked for Product Stewardship Institute and took the role over, and she's also the vice president of Mass Recycle. So she could not be here tonight, so I'm giving her slides, and also credit Product Stewardship Institute, which we cribbed some slides from those, and so I just, how do I advance that? There we go, fantastic. So Juanita's information is there. So I'm going to be asking for some, I believe in our message to you was to ask for some votes for some resolutions and other permissions to support legislation that will help us with especially paint right now. So Mass Recycle is a 501c3 organization, the only one dedicated to the sustainable materials management issues in the state of Massachusetts. What's unique about Mass Recycle is it's a lot of municipal organizations, so we're the people that pick it up and put it down. A lot of environmental organizations are out there and they advocate, but they're not hands-on in the field doing it. And that gives us a unique perspective. So a lot of what you see at Mass Recycle Conference is a lot of the vendors in the industry, the interface between the municipal operations that the DPW does and ISWIM and other towns like Newton, and the recycling community. There's the environmental community, but there's also the folks that get up every day and make it work. And that's what Mass Recycle is. So as part of that, a formal subcommittee is the Massachusetts Product Stewardship Council, which is what we're talking about here. So what is product stewardship? Product stewardship is the global concept of how do we design packaging and materials to move what we all want. You know, the Amazon boxes, the water bottles, you know, things that we touch every day. We all know that the consumerism has skyrocketed even in recent years with all the online shopping. They call it the Amazon effect. There's just cardboard everywhere. There's delivery vans every day, 7 days a week in town. So that's the global, you know, design products better, but also within that, there's regulatory programs. There's voluntary programs through, for example, Call to Recycle we've been using for 30 years, which is the industry take-back program for batteries. They've had to start charging recently, but the industry said, look, we want to provide drop-off areas, and we use them constantly for NiCad batteries, lithium-ion batteries, cell phones. That's a voluntary program. They didn't have to do that. But after that, there's mandatory programs, which are extended producer responsibility. And that's what we're talking about now. And this is where it's a formalized program. The industry needs to provide funding for a collection. Oops, did I get the wrong way? I did, sorry about that. Okay, so this is a quick slide on the product design. The producer goes to consumer, and recycling state safe disposal, a law that extends the producer's financial and managerial responsibility for its products, both upstream and downstream post-consumer use and safe disposal. So it's having basically a plan for the end of life. And we have a lot of these abandoned materials that don't. So why EPR? Reduces government costs, and I'm going to talk about some real numbers that Calliope Chute from the Marshall County Extension Service and the Environment Department, who manages all the household hazardous waste collections on the Cape, 24 every year, can provide some numbers about the paint costs to towns. The incentivizes the waste reduction and recycling reuse. It increases collection convenience, and it establishes performance goals. So that's why EPR is great. So what are these categories that are out there? These are some of the examples: batteries, carpet. California is a national leader on this. But we're focusing on paint right now because Paint Care, so-called, is the group that does this. It's in every state around us except for New Hampshire. It's in Rhode Island, Connecticut, Maine, Vermont, New York. Everybody has this, Rhode Island, except New Hampshire and Massachusetts, ironically. And it's a real problem. So where have we come in EPR? In 2000, there was only 8 laws around the country. Now there are 135 laws. So this has been common practice around the world, especially in the European Union and in Canada, where they recognize that you need to have systemic national approaches. We're not that unified nationally. We are a much more diverse country where the tip fees in Boise, Idaho, and the landfill are like $10 a ton in the middle of the desert. In Northeast here, Massachusetts is the highest in the nation. We're $123 a ton for tipping fees. So it's a completely different world in this big country of ours. But the laws are catching on. California, again, is a leader. Vermont just passed an EPR for a framework for all household hazardous waste. It's pretty amazing what they're doing. So we need a win in Massachusetts. We've been trying for over a dozen years to get paint. So where does Massachusetts stack up? Not very well, unfortunately. You think Massachusetts would be very progressive, out in the lead, but we can't break through at the legislative level. As you know, many issues are, legislation is controlled by the speaker, and there's a lot of competition as the session closes, which where we are right now. So everybody gets their team together and gets up there. We're working real hard to get attention on this, but we're up behind the rest of New England right now. So we've been working on an EPR bill, extended producer responsibility, since 2016. There was a pharmaceutical bill in the state that sunsetted now, but it had when they passed the opioid bill, they had some take-back program for drugs that would be there, but that has been sunsetted, unfortunately. In 2022, there was a compromise bill, but everything died in Ways and Means. It's been really tough. And I can tell you the county has been advocating for a long time. I ran the program for the county for paint collection from a DEP grant in 2018 and 2019 all of Cape Cod. So this has been something we've been advocating for a long time. So right now, there are a couple of bills. Senator Moran has a bill, and she is leaving the Senate at the end of the session, but there's also two up top, which are the ones we're going to focus on because they're part of an omnibus bill now that is at Ways and Means, which is the critical committee at the House. And mattresses is another one. There's a waistband on mattresses. Right now, I think, we're approached 28,000 mattresses that we've recycled at ISWIM over the last, because we were also the Cape-wide grantee to run the mattress program for all the Cape. And so we kept going before the ban, and now we've cumulatively do about 3,000 to 4,000 mattresses a year, and it's going like gangbusters. We love it because it saves airspace to the landfill. But we still can't get a mattress care. That's in Rhode Island, and Connecticut has it. So our neighboring states have it, but we don't have it. And packaging, printed paper, those are but those are much more complex. So we're focusing on paint, and this is the legislative process in Massachusetts, and Massachusetts is known as being actually a leader in how long it takes to actually get a bill passed. So it's not something necessarily to brag about, but we're about number 3. But the thing is, if you get past this critical juncture at the House Ways and Means to go to a floor vote, all these readings and the engrossment and all that can happen within a day once it gets out of the committee. So we're hoping it could come through in this omnibus bill. And so what we're asking, I'll skip through, that's where we are. We can get these 2 bills out of the committee and move into the omnibus bill, and it passes. Paint stewardship, I kind of went over this. It saves a lot of money. So right now, Calliope put some numbers together. We had a recent forum on the Cape here. Bourne, in 2019, 2021, and 2023, we had almost $26,000 in paint costs at our household hazardous waste collections that would be covered by this program. We run a paint shed. Every year, it's about $2,000 that ISWIM pays for the paint, the latex paint, the oil paint, and so forth and so on. All that is cash from the towns at the municipal level that's stranded and not associated with the original owner purchaser of that product. So we end up paying for all that. It's up 30 to 50% of the cost of a household hazardous waste collection is paint, which doesn't have to happen. It's crazy. So it's hundreds of thousands of dollars just on the Cape right now. And the concern is oil-based paints are hazardous materials. Latex, we recycle it, but it's not hazardous, and there's no reason to take up the expense at a household hazardous waste day with latex. So it has strong industry support. The American Coatings Association, which the producers of the paint, support this. Again, it's in multiple. Maryland just passed this. It's in California. Strong municipal environmental organizational support, and it's successfully operated in 10 states. So it's really, something that makes perfect sense. Some of the smaller retailers, Aubuchon and Ace, have supported it. There's some concern potentially about going across state lines, but with all the surrounding states participating, it's really less of a concern. So call to action, we're asking that the select board vote and to endorse a resolution, which you have in your packets. It would be from the select board to broadly support this session, the concept of EPR, and that would go into a binder with all of the other 78 communities that we have roughly. Also a municipal letter of support for paint stewardship that would come from Dan Barrett, the general manager of ISWIM, and also for the recycling committee and for ISWIM to fill out a form that Mass PSC has on their webpage, which is a very simple kind of sign-on petition. So really 3 things. They're all different levels of commitment, but we feel that all 3 of those coming from the town of Bourne, we are a sustaining member of Mass Recycle. We're a leader in this field, and we feel that it would just help us get over the finish line, if you will. So 78 municipalities have this, 52% of the state's covered. You may have, Marlene, seen a gentleman, Tom Irwin, come to the town hall He's a volunteer, retired chemical engineer. He personally has gone, he's from Western Mass, gone on a crusade to do this. He's visited communities all over the state to get these resolutions passed. 34 non-governmental organizations, 11 businesses, and we need Cape Cod towns. So Barnstable County is unified. All the solid waste managers are unified in this. I presented on this. We've had a former branch chief of recycling who's retired, Brooke Nash, talk about this. The county government supports this. Mike McGuire, the County Extension Service, Calliope, are all in support of this, the county commissioners as well. So basically, that's the presentation on EPR. I do have a couple of slides on food waste, which I'll talk to you about the regional composting, but I wanted to stop here and answer questions on this issue.
I have a couple of questions. Well, first of all, this would be a great topic for Cape and Islands Municipal Leaders Association. So several of the members of this board are go to these meetings. They're monthly meetings that talk about Cape-wide, and there's members of select boards, and I can talk to you and put you in touch with the people that
Yes,
do that
would love that.
programming. The new president is Doug Brown from Falmouth, but yeah, so that, I think this would be a great topic for them. They'd be very interested.
Cape and Islands Municipal Leaders Association?
Yeah, similar, it's called,
Yep,
yeah.
similar.
Second, do you know if there's been any discussion with Mass Municipal Association about supporting this?
Glad you mentioned that. So when I was with Mass Recycle the board, we cultivated that relationship for years. And over time, we would exhibit at their annual conference. They have voted for this concept in their plank at their annual meeting 3 or 4 years ago. We now have, I should also mention, there's a core group of officers on the board that are the Stewardship Council, and then there's a leadership group. I'm part of that, as is, we have a person from the Legislative Aid Director, one of the staff on that group, Josie Alberg. So Mass Municipal Association,
Okay.
we're partnering with them. We're absolutely in sync with them. They did a mattress EPR session. It was 135 communities were on the call. So it's on their radar. It's absolutely, yeah.
They're very good too about call to action, so if there's a bill that's coming up, they're very
We
good
are
about.
very much in
yeah,
sync. They're on the
awesome.
calls, how to strategize, how to get the bills
That's great.
passed, absolutely.
Yep, that's great. Yeah. Anybody else have any questions, comments about this?
Would you like a motion to approve this resolution?
So is it, for the select board, is it just the resolution that you're looking for?
So the first item is resolution in support of paint stewardship legislation that is in your
Right,
packets.
right.
That is, the board would vote to, that would be vote number one for that. You
And
agree
then
to
also
that.
the endorsement of the product stewardship legislation, is that a separate thing?
Then there's the second, which is a letter, which would come from Dan, from the department.
Okay,
And then the third is this sort of online sign-on petition kind of thing that the recycling committee could do, and the committee of your authority, and then ISWIM would do, or Dan. So it's kind of 3 levels. The most coveted that we all want is the resolution, because it's a commitment from the board directly, and then there's the department. So really, those are the 3 actions.
so our support would be the resolution in support of the paint stewardship legislation.
We just wanted also to get this on the table so the board would then support through Marlene, the department, and the recycling committee. We would take these actions so that you know we're doing
We
those
support the
too.
resolution and,
The letter from
and
ISWIM.
departmental and committee support for this initiative.
Yes. So there's the
So
resolution and then the letter and then
Second.
the online form. Yes.
And then the endorsement of Massachusetts Product Steward, is that gonna be separate, or is that gonna be part of this as well?
The endorsement is, I think,
So there's the resolution,
The letter
then the letter from the
from the
department,
department,
and then this online form, which is this product.
yeah, but that is an individual thing that individual people do,
We
the
would, the
endorsement.
department would sign that.
Right,
As well,
right.
and then the recycling committee, and then individuals can sign it. But we wanted sort of a blanket approval for all of these actions so that we're working in unison with your support.
So it's a resolution and departmental and committee support of, support and endorsement, right, of these initiatives. All right, so we have a motion by Peter, right?
Yes,
Second by Jean.
Second by Jean.
in support.
Is there any other questions questions or discussion? I think this is great. I think it is eye-opening that the cost of the paint. One of my questions was on these paint initiative things. So this is like you're paying, the consumer's paying a price, making a deposit. Do they have to bring it back to where they buy it, or?
The way it works is there's a price per gallon. It's maybe 75 cents or $1 or something like that. And that goes into a fund that's overseen by an approved state organization, a producer responsibility organization that the industry would create a nonprofit, like we call Paint Care. They would hire various contractors and vendors to pick up from household hazardous waste collections, the drop-off centers, the stores. You know, stores aren't required, but a lot of stores want the traffic, so they collect the paint back. Paint Care here, so then that's all paid for already when you buy it. And so now we're not stranded at the end of the day with all this disassociated cans of paint that we don't know who bought it when. 5 years ago, they cleaned their basement out. We get 15 gallons of oil-based paint.
So it's not like a deposit you're
Not a
personally
deposit.
paying.
Get it back.
It's just included sort of in the price of the
It's like
paint.
tires. When you go get your tires done, you pay
Yeah.
for a disposal fee up front.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pollen's getting me tonight.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to, like plastic bottles or like return deposits.
That's different.
Sometimes they're like, you can't return that here. We don't sell that, and so it's that.
No.
Okay.
But this creates
this-
the collection system and the infrastructure.
That's good. I did have another question about that EPR. So, when you buy toner cartridges for your printer, like Hewlett Packard always gives you the packaging to send it
That would be a
back.
voluntary version of
Is that a
product
volunteer-
stewardship. That's
yeah.
one of those voluntary kind of programs.
Right.
There's not, this
There's
is
no
governmental
legislation.
law that
Right.
would be now, like Paint Care is the law of the land in Connecticut and Rhode Island.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay. All right. Any other comments, questions? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous.
Thank you very much. We're going to be added to the binder, and that's patting the back to the community of Bourne for supporting this. The recycling committee, all of the workers at ISOM appreciate it because it's a lot to man. We just pick up, eventually if this happens, we just pick up the phone and they come and take it. So quickly, I wanted to give you an update. Marlene had asked about the composting. So this has been a really fantastic success story. We started in 2022, and we started with roughly just under a couple of tons in the summer. And thanks to the dedicated Bourne residents who were the early adapters in 2022, we got a couple of tons of food scraps, right just from, that's the picture what it looks like at ISOM at the Residential Recycling Center. We work with Black Earth Compost, who takes it, unfortunately, off Cape because there's no place currently on the Cape, which I'll talk about in a second. So that was the first year. The next year, we expand. Pollen is really bad. We expanded this to work with the schools. They were bringing it down to us where the staff would bring take an empty container, bring a full one. The next year, we put containers for each of the schools over the bridge, the intermediate school, middle school, the high school. Jordan Geists and Ted Buckley done a great job with the kitchen staff there. So last year we had 8.5 tons. This year we're on track to double that.
Wow.
So it's been a phenomenal success. We're just talked to Jordan. He's looking to add the elementary school. Pardon my voice here.
I've got the same thing going.
So everything's on our website for how to do this. If
You
you're
want
out there
a
watching.
cough drop or something?
I'm almost done. So, pardon me. So that's the food scraps drop off. Compost pins are available at your house, but if you want to bring them down, there's special ways you have to do this to keep it clean and plastic free. And there's only certain things that say recyclable, compostable. You have to be very careful. So all excellent news. So, but the problem, the challenge, I will say, is that Black Earth doesn't have a place to take it other than their own facilities off Cape, which is really not ideal because it means diesel fuel. Why are we going to Framingham? It's, you get a site, a facility, you have to worry about odors, you have to worry about, vectors, like animals and things. So right now, it's been very hard to find a place on the Cape. We've been talking about it for many, many years. So we are creating the coastal community composting project with the Cape, Barnstable County. They did the solid waste studies a couple of years ago through the Cape Cod Commission. And the answer, one of the main things that came out is to do a regional composting facility, several of them on the Cape. So Upper Cape is an obvious choice. And we have talked to the military base, General Foe, and Mass Development, and I've mentioned this to you, I've talked to some of you. They are very interested in working with us. The county, they've seen the county study, they presented at the MC3 meetings, which are the community outreach meetings with the base. The General's supportive, the Guard's supportive. Mass Dev has now gotten involved in divestiture of the land, so they're starting on housing first. There's been some changes there, so now they know who we are. So we have a development group, which is staff level. That's Carrie Parcell of Barnstable County. She's also working for DEP, but her other hat's working for the County Extension Service. She's the point of contact. Mary Ryther from Falmouth and myself from Bourne. We're calling ourselves the development group. So we kind of move the ball down the field. We get grants. We work on the logistics. We talk about how, who, where, how, when, where it's going to be on the base, timing, everything that people are going to want to know from us. The goal is to then get to a place where we have control of some sort of land on the base, whatever that may be, ownership or leasing of X amount of acres, that we might go out to hire a Black Earth to come and run a facility we build and own as an Upper Cape group, or did they build and then we use, that they put the finances up to it, or any comment, we don't know yet. So the first step is to do a feasibility study, which Carrie applied for through the 11th Hour Racing, which is a nonprofit from, I believe, the wife of the founder of Google. So we got it, the county got $80,000, and that's on the street right now for a consultant to help us develop a feasibility study with all the questions of what the business model looked like, the technology. And I should show you right here, this technology is an example of what Black Earth, I sent out to Marlene, you have is the YouTube live grand opening of what could be a similar facility on the Cape, which is an enclosed building with a narrated floor and odor control up in Manchester. And so, but that's, it's not too bad. It's maybe $1.5 million, $2 million, but it's still an investment. And so we also have 80 hours through a technical grant from the DEP. So the goal is to get to the end of the year, have a feasibility study. Hopefully we'll know from the Guard and the Mass Dev where we could do this. And then next year would be coming up, here's the financial model, here's the participation model. So
That's great.
all good news. Black Earth's been a great partner. They may not be the person that we partner with going forward, but they're the leading candidate in the state right now. They're on a roll. And so any questions on that?
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah, that sounds
yeah.
great. ABC
Very
would
good.
be ideal.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
Fingers
really,
crossed.
really great information, Phil. Thank you so
You're
much
very welcome,
for your
and
leadership.
thank you to the National Guard for their support. And it's a complicated process, as you all know, with what's going on with the land up there. So we're fingers crossed we'll be able to have something up there.
Yeah,
Excellent.
and so we'll talk too about getting you at the Cape and Islands Municipal Leaders Association to speak.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
awesome.
We'll,
Yeah.
may not be, we'll figure out who to present, but
Yeah.
Juanita, for example, but that, yes, absolutely, really appreciate it. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. Moving right along, policy. Okay, so we have in our packet two things for third reading. One is the financial management policies. This is our third reading. It was developed in conjunction with a financial policy working group that we have dissolved, so hopefully this gets passed. I will say that in some of the discussions that we've had, I've talked about having modeling for this before we passed it. But I've talked to Marlene about this, and we kind of feel that we should adopt a policy and then model it through the budget season this year, and then see how it works and how it implements. And then we can talk about how well it worked after the budget season. So I'm very comfortable with that. I think it's streamlined, doesn't create extra work. We'll do it as part of a real work product.
Right.
And I am perfectly happy with adopting this policy. Is there any comments or questions or concerns about adopting this?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt the financial policy as third reading as presented. Motion by Peter, second by Melissa. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
The goal is done. That is good, all right then. Next is third reading marijuana, social equity policy, grading criteria and matrix, modified host agreement. So what was in our packet was what we had reviewed at our last marijuana workshop meeting. We did get comments from Steve Stroney asking us to add another bullet. I did forward to everyone, I forward those comments to our legal counsel, and she had some comments about it. So that's kind of up for discussion. We did add, per the request of Mr. Stroney at our last workshop, we did add the number E, a minority woman or veteran-owned business who's qualified for expedited review under the commission's regulations, to both the matrix and the social equity policy. But now he's asked for us to add, in addition to that, a minority woman in or veteran-owned business that collectively represents a majority of ownership of the business. So, one thing our attorney suggested is that the board might ask the commenter to ask why they believe the additional text is needed. It may help us better understand the issue and determine whether there is a more appropriate avenue to approach their concern. Mr. Stroney.
Well, thank you very much, Steve Stroney, Monument Beach. So what I've done, folks, is I've looked at the social equity policy, and I've looked at the guidance that the commission has put out there. And I've been involved in this industry since 2019. And I think it's fair to say that although the vision and the goal of the social equity program as administered by the Cannabis Control Commission, it's a great goal and it's a great vision, because I think we all can agree that having businesses owned by individuals that are diverse, equity, and inclusive is a good thing. But I think the program as it was designed was very flawed, and the most recent revisions to it seems to have doubled down on those flaws. Essentially what the Cannabis Control Commission is saying, give out more social equity licenses. Maybe if you give out more, some of them will actually come to fruition. There's hundreds of social equity applicants with licenses that aren't even open today. Some of them have had those licenses for 4, 5, and 6 years. They don't have the means, the resources, the capital to get the job done. So what I did is, I've looked at the history, and I've said, how can we do this in Bourne? Just like when we did the local comprehensive plan, and Gene sat on that committee with me. When we went to the Cape Cod Commission, they said, you've set the standard, you've done this better than anybody's done it, and this will be the way going forward. So in that vein, I'd like to see us as a town, support the goals of the commission, but do it in a way that's actually going to work. So to that end, the suggested revision I have is a minority, woman, and or veteran-owned business that collectively represents a majority of ownership of that business. So that means if you have, a veteran who owns 25% of it, a minority owns another 25% of it, and any percentage of woman-owned of that collective business, then we're going to say in the town of Bourne, you're a business that's worthy of consideration under our social equity policy. I mean, it hit me over the weekend. I sent this to you folks over the weekend. I'm like, there's really kind of a simple way to accomplish what the state wants to do. Their programs like the SDO program, it's so hard to get into those programs and through those programs. And at the end of the day, you get a certificate, and I don't know that it makes you a better business person, but I do know that if we keep it simple and we keep it straightforward, and we look at the goal, and sometimes the best way to get somewhere is just a straight line right there. So that's why I request that the select board incorporate that last provision that I've suggested. And Madam Chair, you were correct, you did include those other changes, and I appreciate that. And I think that's also a big step in the right direction. So respectfully, I'd request that those two additions be added to the social equity policy and the matrix. Thank you.
So before you sit down, the commentator's proposed language is ambiguous. A minority woman and/or veteran-owned business that collectively represents a majority of the ownership of the business. It is unclear what owned means. Could the business be owned by 8 people, 5 of which are women and qualify for special treatment by the town, if those 5 women only have a 10% ownership stake? Additionally, the commentator does not define minority.
Okay, well, I would define minority as it's used in the social equity policy. They make provisions for minority. So however the commission defines minority, I would defer to the commission on the definition for minority. I don't find it vague and ambiguous at all. I mean, if the chair, Anne Marie, and Peter and I own a company, and Anne Marie owns 30%, the chair owns 30%, and Peter and I own 20 each, then that company would qualify under this, because you have 60% of that company is female-owned. I mean, I could make it more technical, more dense with the language, but I think that's pretty clear. When you own a company, you have shares in it, you have a partnership agreement. When you go in front of the Cannabis Control Commission, they want to know who the owners are. They vet the owners. So this is far from ambiguous.
Okay, any questions or comments from the committee?
I don't have a problem with Steve's suggestion that we add this item to, I don't.
Okay, anybody else?
I'm a little nervous about it, only because it's not language we've seen in the regulations with the cannabis industry. I think with respects to social equity, it's important to stay close to that regulation language and not really add to it anymore, or so, I mean, legal counsel clearly has some issues with definitions and being, a little more descriptive of what it means. My other worry too, Steve, is we're doing a great job with the social equity policy and trying to adhere to the regulations and standards that the cannabis has thrown at us. My worry is that, and I don't know if I can relay this correctly, if we make it too descriptive with one entity, are we showing bias to another? That's my little, you know what I mean? Social equity is a big issue right now with the cannabis industry. My worry is that if we are too into the, pun intended, weeds, that we're opening ourselves up to some kind of legal, do you know what I mean?
We're not, excuse me, we're not debating here.
Oh, I thought,
No.
okay, through the
Sorry,
chair, whenever.
we can do it tomorrow. I'll say it again tomorrow. But that's my concern. That's my concern. That I think just the way.
I also have the concern that I don't think that what this says is what he said. What he's trying to get at is if you have an entity where the ownership by combination
Collectively,
of
yeah.
different types of individuals,
Yes. Comprises the 50%.
there's 5 owners,
Right.
and one of them's a woman, and one of them's a veteran, and one of them's a minority. Then by having 3 out of the 5, you would collectively have an ownership that exceeds. I don't think it's not clear that that's what you're trying to get at with this language. And I feel that it's really stretching it. I think we have stretched the limits on this policy by not doing a lot of things that they want us to do. We haven't reserved one-on-one. We haven't said that we're going to do this. We haven't said that we're gonna do that. So we're sort of creating our own scenario of how we're dealing with social equity. And I think if we put, I personally feel if we put two different things that are saying, that are really clearly outside the bounds in addition to some of the other things that we've said, I think that outside of the social equity points, we've created points where you can get points for all these other things. So I'm not inclined to do this. I mean, I'm fine with adding what you asked the last time. We said we'd add it, and we said we'd add the minority woman or veteran-owned business who qualified for expedited review under the commission's regulations. I think, and I don't know if it is clear in the grading criteria and could be something of challenge, but R7 says a minority woman and veteran-owned business who qualified for expedited review under the Cannabis Control Commission. That's in our criteria, and so it could be a minority, a woman, and a veteran-owned business. So I think we're doing as much as we can do, and I'm cautious about overstepping too much. So that's kind of where I am.
I don't look at it as overstepping, but this is what we think is best for our plan in our town. You know, we want what's best for Bourne, you know, and not just, you know, and if worst comes to worst, to CCC, we'll end up throwing it out.
Yep.
I mean, it's, yeah, we deviated, but we deviated because we feel this is what we want, was what's best for us as a community.
Madam Chair, if I may, I mean, I'm willing to come back tomorrow with language that might be a little bit more clear if we want to put it to a vote tomorrow. I have no problem doing that. But, you know, I've thought about this at length, and I've seen it throughout the industry. I really do believe it's really good language, and it promotes minorities, women, and veteran-owned businesses, and that's what we're trying to do.
Well, I do one or the other. I wouldn't do both. That's my kind of, I do one or the other, not both. Kevin?
Kevin, how about you? Just one point on the piece that you have already in there for the expedited,
Yeah.
part of you would have to be an SDO applicant and approved. That process is a very difficult, and it's not it's kind of a little bit crazy because the company I'm with, Capeway Cannabis, we're 100% woman-owned, and we went through that process all the way to the end. And because the two women who own our company also had other businesses that they owned, they would have had to sell all of their stock and shares in those other companies in order to become an SDO. You could only have it in that one business, which is just kind of crazy.
It wasn't our suggestion.
No, that's why I think broadening this a little bit makes it, the SDO thing isn't the greatest program in the world. It's very limited, and it doesn't hit all the things when you add women-owned businesses and so forth. Because there are many that can't qualify for it because they may have some shares in another business.
I think that's valid.
In these businesses, it takes another business to fund these, to get them up and running, and that was part of the problem.
Okay, I gotcha. As I say, I do one or the other. I wouldn't do both. That's my position. I don't know how everybody else feels. I think if we need to somehow change the language so that it doesn't include the SDO, then I'm fine with that, because our attorney had problems with saying the SDO language. She didn't want to do that anyway, so.
See if we can come back with some different language and see if we can compare the two of them tomorrow.
Yeah,
That's it, yeah,
why don't
unfortunately.
we reassess tomorrow, and I'll do a little bit more research, and we'll figure out collectively what's the best way forward for the town. And also, to, you know, we do want to honor the goals and the vision of the Cannabis Control Commission, but the existing program is just, it's so poorly designed and executed that, I mean, to stay within those rails of their program just doesn't make a lot of sense. But, yeah, tomorrow's fine.
Yeah, I don't think we stayed within the rails of
No,
the
no,
program.
you're absolutely right. MJ,
That's why it makes me a little nervous. Yeah.
Everything you've said tonight, but as Peter pointed out, and it's true, we send the policy up there, and they want to come back, I know you missed the last meeting, Anne Marie, but we talked about this.
I watched.
You know, it's a conversation I'd love to have with the state. They come back and say, hey, you guys are too inclusive, you're too diverse, you're too equitable. I mean, I'd love to have that conversation with them, because I think if we did something like this, if we, you know, I think this is, like with the LCP, this is gonna be kind of the new standard. Let's do a program that's workable. And let's do, and like I said, the language I have here, I tried to keep it simple on purpose, but I can dress it up a little bit and speak to that. And I can look at the interplay between the 10% and this language. My preference is probably, I'm gonna tell you right now, is to probably ask for you guys to include this language, the 50% majority ownership, but we can have that conversation tomorrow. I know we're scheduled for 1 o'clock tomorrow. Thank
I
you.
mean, there's new language instead of the, if we have to make a choice between E and F.
Oh, I'll take F
Yeah.
all day long.
okay.
Because if you're in E, you're already in F.
Okay, so that's my point. I'm flexible.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, so do we want to wait until
Yeah.
I would.
tomorrow to,
Yeah.
you know, to make this decision?
I would.
Okay.
Fortunately, I won't be here, but you guys are all on the same, I'm on the same page. I feel the
You're okay
same.
if we
Yeah.
decide new language
Yes.
instead of the old language
I
and
think
just
that's-
having one?
I think
Yeah,
that
is
takes that
everyone
ambiguity out of
Okay
the-
with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's clear that there's a preference by some people not to have the SDS language, so we can swap it out.
Mm.
Okay. So,
Yeah, with additional, review by legal counsel as well to have input.
right, well, and you know, she will be, I didn't ask her to be here tonight because it was gonna be late, and I said, well, if there's any questions, we can talk about it tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure she's gonna be at the meeting tomorrow.
Yeah.
And what she asked, that we clarify what you're getting at, and what you're getting at is that if it's a woman-owned business, if it's a minority-owned business, if it's a veterans-owned business, or if it's a combination of a woman, a veteran, and a minority that create a majority, that collectively they own the business, that it gives you a little bit more flexibility in terms of ownership and how to meet the requirement for social equity. And I understand that. That's
Thank you.
very helpful explanation, what you're trying to get at. Okay, thank you.
That's good.
All right, so we will, so that's on marijuana equity policy and grading criteria. We're gonna, hold off on those. The modified host community agreement, the agreement that was in our packet had, track changes in it,
Right.
which we couldn't, we already had it as a track changes document, I think, on May 14th. I think that was the document. I went back and checked. So if we can maybe verify that and get an untracked change, or one that we can,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So are you okay with us accepting all of these track changes? And you want a clean version?
I would like a clean version of the version that was in our packet, so that we can actually read it as a document. And I think it's the one we got on May 14th.
Yes.
But I want to just make sure that that's the one, yeah. So we'll do them all tomorrow. But we haven't really had, I don't know if there's anyone on Zoom, because we still have that thing up. We should probably
Oh, I'm
take that off.
sorry.
That's quite all right.
Take that down.
If we can agree on the language tomorrow, maybe we can vote it tomorrow and not have to bring it back to another meeting.
We don't have to vote it in a,
Well, it's a public meeting.
I know it's public.
Right.
But it's a public meeting, but it's a policy workshop. It's not a select board.
Yeah, but I think that the
We're
policy
okay.
says that we have to have a regular we have to have a discussion at a regular meeting. I think
Right.
after that it can be voted, so
Okay.
we can talk about it. I'd rather vote it tomorrow than wait until July 2nd, so. We can discuss tomorrow and review our policies and procedures on policy and procedure. Okay. Town administrator's report.
Thank you. There is a piece of correspondence from me in your packet later in your agenda, and I just want to let you know, it's regarding the land RFP for the Southside Fire Station. And I just want to let you know, I did issue an addendum since I wrote that memo. And the due date for responses has been changed to July 12th, 2024.
Okay.
So just an update on the date. Beginning July 1st of this year, the police chief will be serving as the town's emergency management director. Chief Easip and I will bring a formal reorganization proposal before the board prior to the fall town meeting to fully integrate emergency management into the police department. So we are currently working on that. However, we have talked about it, and we have a plan to make sure nothing, falls through the cracks until we can get to you with the formal proposal.
Is Charlie Noyes retiring, so do we need to send a thanks, letter of thanks or something? Yes. Yes, from the board. Yeah.
What happens to the emergency management committee?
That stays.
It stays.
Yeah, Charlie's been the department head of the emergency management department. And so that responsibility will go to the police chief, but the emergency management committee will stay.
Okay. That wasn't clear.
Okay.
The Conservation Department held a very successful rain garden workshop at Town Hall last Saturday. This will be an ongoing educational display for the public, and we are excited to have it installed for people to see. The Recreation Department is busy with the pre-season lifeguard training. They had a successful swim assessment last Sunday and also completed their annual joint training with the fire department last week. The Recreation Director is surveying the guards about their availability to determine the very last possible day of the season. Historically, this has been the second Sunday in August due to school commitments, and the lifeguards need to leave. But if we can keep the guards on later into August, we will certainly do so.
That's great.
Good.
And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, it used to be trouble keeping people through Labor Day weekend. Now it's like trouble
I
keeping us
know.
past the middle of August. It really is
Yeah,
difficult.
it's
Yeah.
almost,
Especially if it's college students, right?
Correct.
Preparing to get back
Right.
to,
Well, even high school students, if they play sports,
right.
Yeah.
Right, they've
You know,
already started, yeah.
you
The
know,
seasons have
Pre-season,
started.
yep.
I mean, the beach wakers like can't even stay. Okay, minutes of May 28th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous. Committee reports. I will say in public, for those who are watching, that the Cape and Islands Water Protection Fund voted on Monday to grant Bourne 25% subsidy on our share of the Wareham Clare Fire Project. So that is great project. The committee and Nate Keenan of the State Revolving Fund has worked really well with us in creating a system whereby we can participate in the Cape and Islands Water Protection Fund for our share of the Wareham project. So it's really good. And they were really,
They have meetings, or is that something that?
the Cape and Islands Water Protection Management Board has meetings as necessary of the members. It's a Cape Cod commission sort of under that umbrella. And each town has an appointed representative, of which I'm the representative from Bourne.
All right, that would be great, seeing as I'm the sewer commission chair, if we can maybe keep on track on
Yep.
those. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the way that
I saw that come in, I was like, oh, I missed that somewhere.
the way that fund works It's all based on whether you are on the state revolving fund intended use plan. So when you submit a project to the state revolving fund, you get on the, if you're approved, you get on the intended use plan, and that how the funding is determined. What's been the problem in the past is it's Wareham, it's not Bourne listed on the IUP, so we needed to find a mechanism that we could do it, and we worked it out with the state revolving fund.
Sounds good.
So if we have a project that's going on the IUP, we'll hopefully get a project. And I also want to mention that the Historic Commission met this morning and had a discussion about the renaming of Perry Avenue. They came up with the name Blackwell Road, and Amanda Wynn was there and said she would be submitting a new petition for the name change.
Well, you weren't the only one, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Peter was there too. Okay, correspondence.
Select Board's correspondence for June 11th, 2024. A, CCRTA reappointment to the Advisory Board, George Slate email. B, Town Administrator memo to Conservation Commission update on Fire Station project. C, Town of Sandwich input letter on Joint Base Cape Cod, JBCC rail service and Bourne shared use path. And D, invite to D-Day exhibit at Bourne Historic Center.
Thank you. Is there anything in this correspondence that we need to have another meeting on? I'm gonna have another agenda item in the future to talk about future agenda items and how to handle. Our next meeting dates, July 2nd and 16th, August 13th and 27th, September 10th, 24th, October 1st and 8th, November 12th and 19th, December 3 and 17th. We switched the schedule because August 6th is National Night Out, and we generally attend that, so we can't have a meeting that night. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Anne Marie, second by Peter, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed, abstentions, it's unanimous.